He froze when he saw the faded ink on her wrist, 3 digits, a unit crest, and the ghost of a motto he hadn't heard since the desert swallowed their battalion. No civilian would ever know what it meant. No one except the men who survived Operation Shepherd's Gate and the woman they lost in the blast. But she wasn't supposed to be alive, not after he'd zipped the body bag himself. They first noticed her on a bitter November morning, the kind where the air tasted like metal and the sidewalk steamed from the sudden clash of cold and warmth. Main Street was already stirring with life, coffee shops humming, trucks revving, commuters hurrying, yet one figure sat motionless between a lamppost and an overflowing trash bin, wrapped in a torn army green coat that didn't look like it had been issued to her. People walked around her as though she were a puddle they didn't want to step in. Someone tossed a few coins in her direction. Another muttered something about the homeless problem getting worse. No one asked her name. No one looked her in the eye. No one cared.
Except one man. Staff Sergeant Daniel Cole, retired reluctantly, had spent most of his life learning how to read danger before it arrived, how to read pain before it was spoken, and how to read people when they tried not to be seen. And the woman curled beneath the lamppost wasn't hiding well enough. Not from him. Her shoulders weren't slumped the way most homeless wanderers held themselves. Her feet were planted like she expected to stand and sprint at any moment. Her eyes flicked from reflection to reflection, a store window, a bus mirror, a passing car, tracking everything. Combat tracking. That was the first thing that bothered him. The second was the coat. That coat wasn't military issue, but the patches removed from the fabric, square outlines on the sleeves, definitely were. Someone had ripped off identifiers. Someone who didn't want to be found.
But it wasn't until Daniel bought his coffee and turned back toward the street that he saw it. A small gust of wind flipped the sleeve of her coat just enough to expose her wrist, and there it was, faint but unmistakable. A worn, half-faded, half-burned tattoo of a military unit insignia. His unit, 31st Guardian Recon. His heart stumbled into silence. For a moment, he forgot how to breathe. No civilian tattooist could replicate that crest without someone from the unit supplying the reference. But that wasn't the shock. What froze him was the number beneath it, 273. The last 3 digits of the identification code permanently assigned to one specific soldier, Lieutenant Mara Kincaid, a woman whose body he had personally recovered from a collapsed safe house 14 years earlier in the single worst mission the 31st had ever executed, Operation Shepherd's Gate. A night no survivor spoke of, a night that carved scars into their souls deeper than the shrapnel. Mara Kincaid died in that building, except now she was sitting on the sidewalk in front of him. Daniel blinked hard, wondering if memory was playing tricks again, if maybe PTSD had finally come to collect its due. He stepped closer, cautiously, the same way he approached an unexploded ordnance, slow, steady, alert. The woman stiffened before he even opened his mouth. Her chin lifted and her eyes narrowed into slits that could cut steel. Those eyes, blue like a desert morning, sharp like glass, were the same ones he remembered barking orders under fire, but now they were hollow, guarded, haunted.
He crouched in front of her. "Lieutenant Kincaid?" he whispered. Her jaw tightened. "I don't know who that is," she said, voice dry, almost cracked. "Move along, sir." Daniel's pulse throbbed. "Your wrist," he said quietly. "That tattoo. That's the 31st Guardian Recon. You were one of us." Her hand snapped back, hiding the tattoo as though it burned her. "You've got the wrong person," she said. "Now please, leave me alone." But her voice broke on the last word, and Daniel heard the fracture clear as a gunshot. He didn't move, didn't blink, didn't back off. "I carried your body out of a burning building in Basra. I thought you died saving us. So tell me how you're sitting here in front of me." Her breath hitched. For a second, something in her eyes softened. Recognition, grief, fear. But then she forced it down, burying it so deep even she couldn't reach it. Daniel sat beside her on the cold pavement, ignoring the curious glances from pedestrians. He wasn't going anywhere until she talked. He owed her that much. Minutes passed. Finally she murmured, "Not here."
So they walked. She moved like someone who'd once been trained to disappear, yet exhaustion dragged behind her like a chain. Daniel guided her to the back booth of a quiet diner. He bought her warm food. She stared at it like it was a mirage. When she finally spoke, her words were barely louder than the hum of the fluorescent lights. "I wasn't supposed to live," she said. "And when I did, I wasn't supposed to come back." Daniel listened, saying nothing. "Operation Shepherd's Gate wasn't what they told you. The building wasn't supposed to collapse, Daniel. It was detonated. On purpose. Someone inside our own chain of command ordered the detonation to cover up evidence of a failed intelligence deal. They needed a scapegoat. They chose me." Her fingers trembled against the coffee mug. "When the blast hit, I made it to a lower tunnel before the roof came down. A local family dragged me out, but our own recovery team was already leaving with a body bag. They thought it was me." Daniel swallowed a lump that tasted like rust. "Why didn't you come home?" he asked. She laughed softly, a brittle, broken sound. "You don't come home after your own government marks you dead. You disappear. You erase yourself. You learn to become invisible." She looked out the window. "I tried. For years. Until the nightmares got worse. Until I couldn't hold a job because every loud noise felt like incoming fire. Until hiding became harder than dying." Daniel gripped the table. "Does anyone else know you're alive?" "No," she said. "And it has to stay that way." But Daniel shook his head. "No, Lieutenant. You saved my life and half the unit that night. If you're alive, the world needs to know. Your name deserves to be cleared." Her eyes glistened. "Daniel, if they learn I survived, they'll finish what they started. We're not alone anymore. The old unit, we're still in touch. We'll protect you." Her lips parted slightly, hope flickering like a candle too frail to stay lit. Before she could answer, the door of the diner opened and a cold breeze swept in. 2 men entered, one wearing a gray coat too heavy for the mild winter, the other carrying a cane that didn't match his posture. 2 mismatched men, but their eyes scanned the room with methodical precision. Hunting precision. Mara froze. Daniel knew that look. Knew the way trained operatives disguised reconnaissance under casual movements. They weren't here for breakfast. "We have to move," she whispered. They slipped out the rear exit, Daniel's instincts roaring back to life as adrenaline crackled through his veins. They crossed an alley, then another. Mara moved faster than she had before, muscle memory overriding fatigue. "Who are they?" Daniel asked as they reached an abandoned loading dock. "Cleaners," she said. "Government contractors. The kind who handle loose ends." Gunshots shattered the air. Concrete exploded near their feet. Daniel dragged Mara behind a dumpster as 2 shadows approached the alley entrance. "Run," she whispered. "I'll draw them off." "You're not sacrificing yourself again," he growled. "Not today." He peeked over the edge, assessing their angles, predicting their next move. The old training surged, unwanted but familiar, as though the past had clawed its way into the present. They bolted down the alley. Footsteps thundered behind them. Mara gasped, slowing. Her leg buckled. Shrapnel injury, Daniel realized. Old, untreated. He scooped her arm over his shoulder. "We're getting you out of here," he said. They reached a chain-link fence. Daniel climbed first, then pulled her up. A bullet ripped through the metal inches from her back as they dropped onto the other side. They ran again, through back streets, past boarded storefronts, into the heart of a forgotten industrial block. Daniel spotted a service tunnel grate he remembered from his old patrol routes. He kicked it open. "Inside!" They crawled through darkness until Daniel found a rusted maintenance room. There, safe for the moment, Mara sagged against the wall, breath shaking. "You should have left me," she said, "and let them kill you after you survived 14 years alone?" He knelt in front of her.
Not a chance." Tears filled her eyes. Quiet, unstoppable. "No one has said anything like that to me in a very long time." "Get used to it," Daniel said, "because I'm not the only one who'll say it. The whole damn unit will." She looked at him, vulnerability cracking the armor she wore. "You really think they'll believe I'm still alive?" "They never believed you were dead," Daniel said. "None of us did. We carried guilt for years. We blamed ourselves." Her breath faltered. "I blamed myself too." He squeezed her hand. "Let's stop blaming. Let's start fighting."
A distant clang echoed through the tunnel. The cleaners had found their entry point. Daniel steadied himself. "We move on my mark." Mara nodded, determination lighting her gaze for the first time. They escaped through a drainage shaft, emerging near an abandoned train yard. Daniel texted an emergency code to the old unit, a code they'd sworn never to use unless one of their own was in mortal danger. Within 20 minutes, 3 trucks pulled up. Out stepped men and women aged by war, patched by time, but still a family forged in fire. Their faces changed as they recognized the figure standing behind Daniel. Shock, disbelief, tears, awe. "Mara?" Corporal Vasquez whispered. "No way! No damn way!" Mara stood trembling as her old brothers and sisters in arms surrounded her, touching her shoulders, her face, her hands, as though confirming she wasn't a ghost. She broke. Years of silence melted into sobs that shook her entire frame. "You're home," Daniel murmured. "You're one of us. You always were." The unit formed a protective circle around her. No one, not government ghosts, not cleaners, not bureaucratic lies, would touch her now. For the first time in 14 years, Lieutenant Mara Kincaid felt something she'd forgotten existed: safety. And then something even more foreign: belonging. Later, when the cleaners were intercepted and the truth began unfolding through channels much higher and stronger than the men who once tried to bury it, Mara stood beside Daniel beneath a pale dawn sky. "I thought disappearing was the only way to survive," she said quietly. Daniel looked at her with steady warmth. "Sometimes the only way to survive is to be found." She nodded slowly, letting the words settle into places inside her that had been hollow for far too long. "Thank you," she whispered. "We protect our own," he said. "Always." And for the first time, she believed it. Because heroes don't vanish. They don't fade away. They don't belong in the shadows. They rise, again and again, each time someone remembers that their sacrifices built the freedom everyone else stands on. And sometimes it only takes one person noticing a tattoo on a cold morning to bring a forgotten warrior back into the world. Not everyone who looks lost is truly lost. Some are heroes carrying battles no one will ever see, and all they need, sometimes, is for one person to recognize their worth. Our veterans are not burdens. They are the backbone of our freedom. They are our legacy. They are our responsibility. Honor them. Listen to them. Stand with them. Because they once stood for all of us. If you love stories of bravery, sacrifice, hidden heroes, and the untold battles our warriors fight long after the war ends, make sure to subscribe to Military Stories, where real courage lives in every episode. Turn on notifications so you never miss a story that deserves to be heard.